The more you know about something, the less you fear it. We're going to dive into that statement in today's episode. I can't wait. This episode is going to be a spicy one, so make sure you watch it from the beginning to the end so that you can experience spiritual transformation, so that you can experience a spiritual revolution in your life, which is what this platform and what this channel is all about. I am Tamara Tamu. You have reached the Unleashed Alchemy YouTube channel, where we talk about experiencing a spiritual movement and revolution in your life so that you can bring heaven on earth. That takes going against the grain, okay? It takes quantum leaping out of religious programming and programming in general to call the unseen into the seen. And you will find that support on this platform. So I welcome you for being here. So today's episode is this: the more you know about something, the less you fear it. The makers of religion, the creators of any type of programming, know this and knew this very well. And they twisted things to make people fear anything outside of, air quote, laws, tenets, books, views of said religion. This is religion as a whole, okay? And again, you can apply this to programming in general, which is what I just said. Religion says, here's a book. This is all you need. Then you will find favor with someone in the sky and you'll have a decent life, maybe. Religion uses fear tactics, still using fear tactics, to keep people locked in to that belief. To that if they looked outside of the tenets of that religion, that if they walked outside of the borders that they've been given, that not only is it fear-based that they shouldn't do it because of fear, but that somehow that they would be punished or they won't get the life that they desire. Meanwhile, the very thing that religious gatekeepers said to stay away from, they were using and are using and practicing themselves. So, and here's another thing too, which I'll talk about in another video in detail, but the fear exuding from all of those herds of people that followed religion, that are following religion, is actually what is fueling religion's manipulation in that statement, or in that idea that to step outside of any tenets you shouldn't do because, oh, and I forgot to mention this, because anything outside of those borders, outside of the laws, outside of the book or books of that religion is automatically said to be evil or demonic, okay, or of Satan, all right? So let me give you an example. So I have always been fascinated. I've always had this affinity toward metaphysics, ancient spiritual practices, hoodoo. It was always fascinating to me. I felt a kinship to it. I felt at home with it. I didn't know why as a child, okay? But that's what I felt. And I was always drawn to it, to those books about those subjects and the practices. But even reading or even voicing that I was interested in it, that was forbidden. Why? Because they were outside of the confines of the laws and the practices that the religion that I was in gave to me. Okay? It was viewed as sinful. It was viewed as, oh, if you touch that, if you act like you want to read about it, something bad might happen to you. There are a lot of those threats. If you go outside of this, if you do this, then that could happen to you. Or God won't be pleased. And then you're at his mercy. How many of you guys have heard that in religion? Okay. So even after I left religion physically, even for years and years after that, for almost 2 decades plus, do you not know that I still allowed that fear to stay within the confines of something that I wasn't even a part of anymore physically, but I still let the fear keep me from my home, keep me from my own magic. I let fear keep me from my spiritual science and how I came here to live, and the expression that I came here to hold and to allow to beam from me. So, how did I get past that fear? I decided I was tired of being afraid. I was tired of being afraid. It didn't make sense anymore. I was like, this is stupid. So I just surrendered. I said, I surrender to this. This is what I'm feeling called to. This is what I love. And I don't even know the intricacies of it. And I'm still learning today. When I did that, I did not go down a rabbit hole. The information came to me very effortlessly. It was almost like a current. It was not almost like, it was a current of what I needed to know at the right time, in the right form. Sometimes it was a person, sometimes it was a book, sometimes it was hearing something, but I got the information. And the more and more that I knew, and I should say the more and more I know, the fear on those things is gone. Because I have found myself in what is already in my DNA. All right. So the more and more I became aware of all of those topics, the practices, there's no fear around it. I embrace it. And I feel blessed by it, to know it, to have it in my face, to no longer push it away from me. So now you may be asking yourself, you may have left a religion. It may have been some time ago. And you may be saying, you may have been asking a question, what is my next move beyond the religion that I have known, that I had known for such a long time? How do I know that there's expansion for me? There's things that I feel like I want to read about, that I want to know more about, but the fear is still there. So what do you do first? This first thing is going to sound so simple, but I'm going to tell you to meditate. Meditate. Meditate first. Why? Because you're tapping into your soul. You're listening to spirit. You're listening to your body. You are aligning yourself with your energetics. You're allowing your body to be calm so that you can receive intuitive hits from spirit, because perhaps there is a book that you can read, but you need to be silent enough to get the inspired action, to go to the bookstore to be led to the book that you need. That's just one example. Meditate first. Then what you do is ask yourself this: what do you have an affinity toward as far as spiritual practice? If we're just talking about spiritual practice, what do you have a natural affinity toward? Maybe you know And maybe you don't know, and that either way is fine. If after you meditate, nothing comes up right away, no need to worry, because your connection, just because you let's say a 10-minute meditation, and you may be thinking, okay, yeah, I meditated, I sat in silence, but I didn't feel anything. Fine. Because it may be that what you need, first of all, the connection is still there, whether you felt something or not. The connection is always there. You tapped in to spirit, all right, whether you felt something or not. Perhaps throughout the day, you're going to get little, and I hate to say breadcrumbs, because crumbs itself, I don't like that word because it's so limiting, but you're going to get these guideposts, whether you hear something or you see a sign or you hear a song. This is how spirit works with us, all right, on this physical plane. So what meditation does, though, it puts you in that frame of mind to where you will see a synchronicity. You will see some guidance. You will see a sign. And if you had meditated, you might have looked at that sign or heard something and just dismissed it. But now, since you are in that mind frame, because you meditated, again, whether you felt something or not, it'll capture your attention. And you'll look at that as communication with your soul from spirit, okay? So you may have an inkling to later on throughout the day to listen to something. You may be guided or really feel a call to listen to something. Maybe it's YouTube video, okay, or a podcast episode. Or you may hear something that will just spark your interest. Like I said earlier, you may feel an inspiration to go into a store or a bookstore and be guided to a certain book that you need in the right time. But you have to understand that as long as you do your part in taking the step to sit in meditation and sit still, your angels, your guides, however you view that, your spirit counsel will always be guiding you, period. Okay? So, let's go back. The more you know about something, the less you fear it. So do not ignore what you have an affinity toward. Do not ignore it, because you better believe that many of these religious gatekeepers, the very thing that they're telling you to stay away from, they are using and practicing in their lives. For us to not think that that's happening makes us very naive. And for so long, we have been naive. But I'm talking to you because there's plenty of us that are in our spiritual bag, all right? And we're putting things together. We're allowing messages to come through us from spirit. And perhaps we feel like we've hit a cap or something, and we just need a push over the edge. Let this video be your push toward the edge, okay? The more you know about something, the less you fear it. So whatever you're feeling an affinity toward, I inspire you to get in meditation, surrender to it. That is your soul. That is your soul knocking, saying it's fine. This is in your DNA. This is your power. This is part of your spiritual science. This is part of how and why you came here to be effective in a positive way in your life, in your lineage, and ultimately the world. Okay? So I want to leave you with that message. All right? Don't forget, there are resources that I provide that I've put in the description box of this video that help support you on your spiritual odyssey. If you are desiring more one-on-one support, okay, I offer that in a 12-session package where we move you from spiritual or religious programming and programming of all type to spiritual ecstasy, so that you can walk in your spiritual gifts. You will know what your spiritual gifts are. You will be confident in them, and you will be confident in them enough to bring heaven on earth in your life in every single aspect. It will affect your communication with people that are already in your lives. You'll start to view yourself as an energetic pioneer in your lineage. Okay? We're talking about power here like you've never experienced in your life. This is about you having transformation and a spiritual revolution, a spiritual movement in your life. All right. So if you want to work with me, book a call. The link to do that is in the description box of this video. And until next time, cheers.